all the elements in the leading diagonal. When I say the leading diagonal, for example, if I pick this line, then I draw here, okay, this particular line. So all the elements in this diagonal must go to 1. How do I do that? I'm going to use row operations to make sure that the elements in the leading diagonal all goes to 1, so that I will end up getting this particular matrix that you are seeing at the bottom here. This value will become 1, this value will become 1, this value will become 1. And then all the elements that are underneath this line, okay, all the elements that are underneath this line, I want to make sure that they also goes to 0. I'm looking for a triangle to show you. So mean that if I pick all the elements in here, and these elements will go to 0. So how do I do that? How do I make sure that this function goes to 0? All these elements go to 0. Okay, so that is the work of today. That is what we intend to do. So, and then the fourth step is that when you're able to express your rows and your columns to look like this, then we do back substitution to solve our problems. Okay, so these are the rules. Let's see whether we can take an example to be able to solve and see whether the explanation becomes clearer. Okay, so this is our first example. So it says that use row reduction operation to obtain what they call the echelon form or the augmented matrix form from the system of equations below. So this is my system of equations. So remember step 1, we must form coefficient matrix and then add the answers to it so that I form what I call the augmented matrix. So I'm going to pick the coefficient of x. They are 1, they are 3, and then that is 2. Then coefficient of y is 2, followed by 5, followed by 6. And then coefficient of z is 1, followed by 1, followed by 7. Okay, so this is my coefficient matrix. Then I'll add the answers to the right-hand side. This is 1, that is 3, and that is 1. So now I have formed what we call the augmented matrix form. So if you remember the question I showed you earlier on, that's the past question last year. It says that write the augmented matrix of this equation. So that's all you are supposed to do. When you take x, y, and z, and then you write the answers by that, you have formed the augmented matrix. Okay. Any questions so far? No questions. Okay. Now, remember what we want. Remember what you want. I'm saying that when I pick this particular line, all the elements in this particular line, what we call the leading diagonal, must go to 1. All of them. So 1 will be the first value here. Row 1, column 1 is 1. Now row 2, column 2, it must also be 1. The 5 must change to 1. The row 3, column 3, the 7 must change to 1. Now how do we achieve that? That is where the rules that I gave at the top. What are the rules? That you can add a row to another row. See, you can add a row to another row. This one. You can add a row to another row. You can multiply a row by a constant. And then we will see whether we can be able to do that. So let's pick the first value. For us, our row 1, look at our row 1. The value 1 here, this value here is 1. So we know that we don't do anything to row 1. But let's go to row 2. We have to change the value 3 to 0. So if I pick step 1, row 1, column 1 is 1. So now let's work on row 2, column 1. So this value, this 3. What do I multiply by row 1? This row, the first row, 1, 2, 1. So that when I add it to the 3 goes to 0. Any suggestion?
-3.
-3. Thank you.
It's a bit like this part if you go teach academic tools, they will
it by -3. So this times -3. So row 1 times -3, so here, 1 times -3 will be -3. 1 times -2, 2 times -3 will give you -6. And then 1 times -3 will give you -3. And then the last one also will give you -3. Now we are going to add these values here to row 2. What is the value of my row? The values of row 2 is 3, 5, 1, 3. So 3 here, 5 here, 1 here, and then 3. Now if I add these values, I'm going to get -3 plus 3. This will go to 0. -6 plus 5, that will give you -1. And then -3 plus 1, that will give you -2. Now, -3 plus 3, that will give me 0. Okay, so my new matrix, R2, the new row for R2 is going to be 0, followed by -1, followed by -2, and then followed by the value 2 here. Okay, now we have to concentrate on row 3, this value. Row 3, remember row 3, the value is 2 here.
Please, can you go back a little bit for it?
Give you -1.
So
You
go
know
back,
the second.
go back again. No, I wanted to know where he get the negative row 1 and -3 row 1. I wanted to get that side row.
Oh, I could show it.
Where he started with this, and this side.
So if I
Because-
take step 1, row 1, column.
Yeah, it be here. Felix,
The
you were saying
video
something?
jump from here.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
You jump from here. In the recording
Yes, the
too.
video jump.
Hey,
Yes.
Yeah, he jumped.
hey.
1 is 1. So now let's work on row 2, column 1. So this value, this 3. What do I multiply by row 1? This row, the first row, 1, 2, 1. So that when I add it to row 2, the 3 goes to 0. Any suggestion?
So -3.
-3. Thank you. So I'm going to pick row 1. So you see my row 1 here. It's 1, 2, 2, 1, and 1. I'm going to multiply it by -3. So this times -3. So row 1 times -3. So here, 1 times -3 will be -3. 1 times -2. 2 times -3 will give you -6. And then 1 times -3 will give you -3. And then the last one also will give you -3. Now we are going to add these values here to row 2. What is the value of my row? The values of row 2 is 3, 5, 1, 3. So 3. Five here, 1 here, and then 3. Now if I add these values, I'm going to get -3 plus 3. This will go to 0. -6 plus 5, that will give you -1. And then -3 plus 1, that will give you -2. Now -3 plus 3, that will give me 0. Okay, so my new matrix, R2, the new row for R2 is going to be 0, followed by -1, followed by -2, and then followed by the value 2 here. Okay, now we now have to concentrate on row.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he made a mistake here because the -3, the last part, the -3 minus 3 is supposed to be the -3 plus 3 is supposed to be 0. Yeah, but I think he wrote through somewhere.
Plus 1 plus the 1 up there. That's why. -3 plus 3 is 0. it's 1. Hey, I know.
Minus
Oh
3 plus
no,
I beg
the
you.
one is
I beg.
not part 2. The one is not
It be
part 2.
video.
It be video,
row
be like
1
it be
minus
0, but maybe
Copy zero.
corrected him.
Yeah.
I beg. It be video. It no be
Is
live
it
class.
live or what? Because the teacher is teaching it. Why we
But I think
discuss?
that point is a mistake. So you
Video.
have to take note.
It's a mistake. It's a
Yeah,
mistake.
it's a mistake.
I'm sure maybe they corrected him or something.
Yeah.
It's a
If the
mistake.
video
Why?
they watch or it's live, because I don't know.
Video.
Benny be video.
It be live. It be live video. Live video.
Oh, okay.
Live video. Yeah. Live.
Row 3, this value. Row 3, remember row 3?
So we have
value is
the
2
video.
here.
We can share it,
So
right?
what can I do
It's
to
on the
row
page.
1?
It's
So
on
that
the
when
page.
I add it to row 3, it
Alright.
will go to 0.
Sir.
This
On the
value
main
2 must
page.
go to 0.
Sir, question.
Yes, please.
So the new B2, over at the right side, -3, you added it to 3 and you wrote 2.
I was typing through. Okay, 3. Thank you. No,
So it's supposed to be 0.
thank you. 0.
Are you happy now? It's been corrected.
Okay. Okay, so I'm now asking, what do I do to row 1? Still, I'm using row 1. What do I multiply by row 1? So that when I add it to row 3, 2, 6, 7, 1, the 2 goes to 0.
-2.
-2. Okay, so I'm saying that now row 1, column 1 is 1. So we have to watch out what row. This should be row. This is step 2. So we are multiplying row 1 by 2. So let's do that. If I multiply here by -2, I'm going to get -2 here, -4. That'll give me -2, and this will give me -2. If I add my 1, if I add it to R3, what is R3? R3 is 2, 6, 7, 1. So this is 2, 6, 7, and then this value is 1. Now, -2 plus 2, this will give me 0. -4 plus 6, this will give me +2. -2 plus 7, that will give me +5. And then -2 plus 1, that will give me -2. Okay, so remember that now I know what my R, again?
It's -1.
-1. Okay. So now my new R3 is going to be 0, 2, 5, -1. So -1. And then remember what my R2 was. My R2 now is 0. This is 0. That is -1. That is -2. And then the last one is 0. Okay. So this is what we have now. We are here. Look at this matrix carefully. Remember what we want. We said that all the elements in the leading diagonal must go to 1. So this element here, this element I have here, the first A11, that is row 1, column 1. This value is 1. We don't have a problem. No, row 2, column 2. This one is -1. And then the last one is 5. So we have 2 more things to do. We must make sure that this -1 becomes +1. And then this particular 5 now becomes 1. So what do we do to R2? Look at R2, row 2. What do I multiply this by row 2? So that the middle value becomes +1. What operation can I use?
Two.
Ernest, what did you say? Is it Ernest or Solomon? What did you say?
Said 2.
No, row 2. What do I multiply through by row 2 so that the middle value becomes +1 instead of -1?
The -1.
-1. Okay, so the next step is I'm saying that take R2 and multiply by negative. So remember the values, 0 minus 1 minus 2. So this will become, if I multiply R2 by -1 like this, I'm going to get 0, +1, +2, and then 0 here. Are we right? Let's make sure we have exactly that. Yes, we are right. So now, now we have one more step. What do I do to R3? This time, I will no more use R1. Remember that R1 has a value. Hussein, you're asking what is this for? Is taking your attendance. That's why I'm asking you to type your name and next time. I hope that's why you're asking that. Okay. Now I'm saying that we are now left with this value at the last value entry here. That's 5. We must change it to 1. Okay. And then this value here must also change to 0. So now we will no more use row 1. Why? Because row 1 has a value in the first column, but we don't want to introduce a value in the last column here. So I'm going to use row 2. This time I'm going to fix row 2. So take row 2. What do I multiply by row 2? So that when I add it to row 3, this 2 will go to 0. Yes, anyone? Now we are using row 2, 0, 1, 2, 0. What do I multiply by that row? So when I add it to 0, 2, 5 minus 1, the value of 2 will go to 0.
-2.
-2. Okay, so here, the last step is -2 times R2 and add it to R3. Now this is my R2. My R2 is 0, 1, 2. So I'm going to multiply this by -2, -2. Now, so 0 times -2 is 0. -2 times 1 will be -2. -2 times 2 will be -4. And -2 times 0 will be 0. Now, what are the values of our R3? R3 is 0, 2, 5 minus 1. So let's add 0, 2, 5, 0, 2, 5, then -1. Now, if I add 0 plus 0, that will go to 0. -2 plus 2, that will give me 0. And then -4 plus 5, that will give me +1.
The video too.
I don't know what happened though. I was just taking off.
HLON, or the
Is this
the
where we were?
reduced form of this matrix. What is left is.
Please, is this where we were? Because I got lost somewhere. And there was silence in heaven. Okay.
Go back small, B. Small. He was adding the new row.
Okay.
-2 plus 2, that will give me 0. And then -4 plus 5, that will give me +1. And then the last one, 0 plus -1 will give me -1. So I have achieved my aim. This is now 0. This value now in the leading diagonal is 1, and then this value here goes to -1. Okay, so we have achieved our aim. Remember what we said. We set out, those who join us late, we set out to show that all the values in the leading diagonal here goes to 1. We have achieved it. And then all the values underneath it, the triangle underneath it, should go to 0. And we've achieved that. Now that we have been able to form what we call the echelon, ECHLON, or the reduced form of this matrix, what is left is now to rewrite this equation back as x, y, and z, and then do back substitution. Okay, so when I take my time and write all this, question, somebody? Yes, go ahead.
Please, can you go over again? Please, can you go over again?
Which part specifically should I go over? You didn't join earlier. Okay. First of all, I said that when you are given any system of equations like this, these are the system of equations. First of all, you must take the coefficient of x, coefficient of y, coefficient of z, and then write it, convert it into a matrix. That's what we've done. Then you add the answers on the right-hand side, and that will form what we call the augmented matrix. So that is x, y, and z, and then your answers are on the right. So you end up forming what we call the coefficient matrix. Now, our aim is to make sure that all the elements in the leading diagonal, 3, 1, -7, they all go to 1. And then all the elements underneath it, they all go to 0. This is the aim, okay? So when we're giving the first example, we set out to do that. With this, in fact, that is your aim. You must finish and make sure that all the elements in the leading diagonal are all 1, like I'm showing you here. And then all the elements underneath it here, they all go to 0. That is our aim. Now, then step 4, when we are done with that, we do back substitution to get the solutions. So our first example was, these were the equations, x, y, z, x, y, z, x, y, z. So we rewrote our equations, taking the coefficient of x. It gave us 1, 3, 2. From other so we started by concentrating on
Hello, Ruth. Since the live video is off, I hope you can take us through. Yeah. Eh? I mean, since the live video is off, I hope you can take us through. I mean, you know much about algebra, so you can share screen and give us some commentary.
Take us through. Take us. Tommy, take us through.
Yeah, for the way.